Jack Castles. I'm the Chief of Department of the Bethpage Fire Department. I joined the Bethpage Fire Department in 1979, a year after the tragic loss of our brothers Bobby and Joe. I'm the 62nd Chief of Department in a long history of the Bethpage Fire Department that began in 1910 with the Central Park Fire Company. In 1936, the Bethpage Fire Department followed the town's name change and changed over to Bethpage Fire Department, where presently we have 170 members manning 3 volunteer fire stations. I'd like to thank Universal Paranormal for doing this documentary to remember Bobby and Joe.
Hi, my name is Pete Castellano. I'm the Deputy Chief of Bethpage Fire Department. I joined the fire department here in 2006, 17 years. Joining this department, it's community-based, here to help the community, to serve the community as a volunteer fire department. One of the first things that when I joined the department here that was stressed was the tragic loss of Bobby and Joe and Brothers 3 Fire. And to honor them, every year we make sure we have a memorial for them where we visit their graves to truly say that we've never forgotten their loss. And I'd like to thank Universal Paranormal for coming down and doing this documentary. I'm a member here in Bethpage Fire Department, Engine and Ladder Company 4. I joined the department in May of 1975.
my senior year in high school. We were allowed to join back then. As long as you were getting out of high school, you could join. I got in the department the same night as Bobby. Bobby and I were like brothers. We were born 2 days apart in the same hospital. We grew up the block from each other. Joe was my neighbor around the corner who hung out with my older brother, who was a member here in Station 4. That's why I joined. We played baseball, we played hockey, we did everything. I used to meet Bobby down here at night after work. He worked nights in Sears, and I worked nights for the railroad, and we'd meet here at night. That particular night of the fire was my pay night. I had to wait for the train to get in up in Port Washington to get my paycheck. By the time I got here, the only rig that was left was 9044. I pulled it out on the ramp. It also was a bowling night. Bobby's brother Nicky was on his way home from bowling. He pulled in, unknown what was going on. And I forget the other person that was on the rig that night, but I drove Nicky to the fire that night. We heard a whole bunch of yelling on the radio. When we pulled up in front of the building, we were asked to pull in front as close as I could get. At that point, senior member Louis Kunzik took the rig from me, and he told me to go do what I could do to help. It was met by Kenny Bestiga, who at the time was a city firefighter, and we tried to do everything we could to get in the building. Unbeknownst that the fire was also burning in the basement, and before we had gotten there with 9044, the building had exploded. So there was a lot of confusion, a lot of running around, and I stayed with Kenny the rest of the night. And Kenny being who Kenny was, we tried every which way but straight to get into the building to find Bobby and Joe. The fire burned for hours. We had people checking all the hospitals. We were trying everything to get in the building. But we didn't stop. It wasn't until daybreak that we found Bobby and Joe inside. They were together. They were hugging each other. They never left each other alone. That's how we found them. Every year this company gets together with the rest of the department, and we go to the two grave sites to remember their lives and celebrate their lives. This year marked the 45th anniversary. After we do the grave details, we come back here, just like we're doing now. We talk about the fire. And God give me strength. As long as I can do it, Bobby and Joe will never be forgotten. And as long as I can go with Frankie the week before Memorial Day, I will go and place flowers, a plaque and a flag on their grave sites.
Frank DeBogus. I'm the ex-chief of Bethpage Fire Department. I joined in October 1975, and at that time it was in Rescue Company 6, which was out of fire headquarters. I went through probationary period with Bobby, and we had a good relationship because I had no clue about cars. Bobby was an auto mechanic, and he made sure that the car that I drove was kind of safe, even though I tried to fix things. Joe worked at the Glen Cove Hospital, where I did my EMT rotations back then, and he made sure that I was up front and, working with everybody at the hospital to learn as much as I could. The night of the fire, I didn't have a car that night. I had no transportation, but my next door neighbor was the second assistant chief. I was able to run next door with a helmet and coat that I had, and I went with him to the fire. On our way down to the fire, we were coming down Route 135, coming to Hempstead Turnpike, saw the column of smoke in the sky, and he said, "This isn't going to be good. Don't be out of my sight." We pulled up. I helped the one company stretch lines in the back, and then they came up to me and said, "This guy that's been helping us got too much smoke. You're the EMT, you have to go take him to the hospital." The ambulance was there, packaged him up, and off we went. Little did I know at the time, as we were taking care of him, it would have been the gentleman that was the arsonist. So it was kind of a weird feeling afterwards, trying to get all this information out. When we got back to the fire, after dropping him off at the hospital, it turned out that the fire got well advanced. The chlorine that was on the first floor, as the cardboard containers were getting wet, it caused a chemical reaction, and the chemicals, the chlorine chemical, started to have a reaction which caused it to burst into flames and trapping Bobby and Joe. There was another firefighter that was with them that was able to make it out the front door, and he was barely able to speak because of the chlorine and stuff that he inhaled. Again, I was told, take him to the hospital in the ambulance, and off we went. When we got back from the hospital, the chief of the department came to me and says, "Who'd you take to the hospital?" And, I said, "The gentleman that showed him where the fire was, and Andy." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "I need you to see if you can check with the hospitals and see if Bobby and Joe got taken to the hospital." We went back to Mid-Island Hospital at the time, Massapequa General Hospital, Old Nassau County Medical Center, Old Plainview Hospital, and none of them had them, so we reported that back. And at that point, it was just an out-and-out fight to try to find Bobby and Joe. The operation was long. It was a long, arduous task. Everybody trying to do what they could. By today's standards, we all have air packs, every firefighter. Back then, there were 3 air packs for 8 guys on the truck. So it was kind of hard for everybody to try to, be effective in a rescue without having the air pack. To this day, I go to all the cemeteries to place a flag and a memorial day for all our fallen members. But in particular, I go with Brian each year, and we neaten up the grave site and make sure that everything is in order for us to come the Sunday before Memorial Day. It's been going on for 45 years. We make sure that everything is running smoothly. We have, everybody's got a little bit of a task, whether it's the guys that are handling the color guard, the guys that are handling getting the flowers, presenting everything, making sure that the families, if they are available those days to come, So we all work together as a unit to make sure that the legacy of Bobby and Joe will never be forgotten here in Bethpage.